let's talk a little bit about resale. So one of the things that I found when I was kind of on the brokerage side for a little bit, and I'm not anymore. We operate in a very different way. But what I found interesting was I'd reach out for some neighborly resales when looking for clients, and they had this whole dedicated department and contacts for resales. And whoa, this is interesting. I hadn't really saw that before. Actually, I don't know that I've seen that for any other franchise concept. So first, talk a little bit about the how Neighborly handles resales, and then I want to kind of unpack just resales in general.
Yeah, no worries. So that's another one of our unique, perspectives or competitive advantages that we have in the franchise space is that we do have a dedicated team that's dedicated to resales, right? Alicia Yankee, our vice president of resales, does a great job in managing her team to help our owners sell their business, right? One of the things that we always like our owners to think about is, hey, not just with you starting your business, but there's going to be a time where you want to, maybe do something different and you want to exit the business, right? So we help you from creating it to actually exiting. So the fact that we have owners who have had their business for so long and they're looking for someone to buy it, we have a very structured process that identifies, qualified buyers to buy their business, right? And now, we continue to, build that because we have more owners and more owners are aging in their business and they're looking to sell more. So we develop relationships with, different brokers and people looking to buy these businesses from them or from our owners, right? And we facilitate those transactions. And one of the great things about that is when it comes to the fees and the cost, in regards to selling your business, typically if you went to the business broker route, they can charge you anywhere between 10 and 12% to sell that, right? And in Neighborly, it's probably half of it. So from a seller's perspective, you actually save money working with Neighborly. And then also, too, there's not going to be a lot of people who are very familiar with home services and how to market and sell your business like we do, right? So the fact that we have that dedicated, team in that process, we're also more successful in getting these businesses sold. So very, unique service and benefit you have as being a Neighborly franchisor.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool process, and I do think that's a huge competitive advantage. It's one of the things that I tell people is that sometimes people go, Tariq, why did you sell your franchises? Well, one, I was 2,500 miles away.
Well,
so that's a contributing factor.
Yeah.
But the goal, like, you don't have to, that's the great thing about a franchise business. Like, you can sell it, and oftentimes you probably have a higher likelihood of selling it and for more because of the value of the brand and the, that kind of enterprise value. And the goal is not to necessarily own it all your life. Maybe you want to pass it on to your kids. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to work really hard for 10 or 15, 20 years and then be able to exit and enjoy your nest egg. And, I think simplifying that process definitely is a huge, huge advantage, because I personally sold our stores and represented myself to save the money on, hiring a business broker. And I'll tell you what, that was a process, man. That was a process. The cool thing is that I learned so much that I applied now. So it was a blessing, because a lot of the technical knowledge that I have now in terms of, how to go through that process of LOIs and purchase agreements and escrow and, all those different things. But I definitely, like, I don't think that's something someone wants to do, like trying to sell their business on their own.
And to your point, you said earlier, it's, the value you're getting when you sell, right? Because of that brand, but more importantly, the fact that you have that system in place, right? And I talk about this to our candidate coming in, the value of your business is always going to be valued off of EBITDA multiple or revenue multiple, right? And the multiple goes up the more systems, processes, people you have in place, right? Because the more your business relies on an owner, one person, the less valuable that is. Because if you take that owner out that business, you have nothing, right? You just have tools and stuff, right? But if you have a business that's built around processes and have everything in place so that If you take one person, you take that owner out of the business and it continues to generate and operate like normal, that's what people will pay top dollar for. And that's why our proven successful model does that for a business over the years, so that you've built something very valuable when it's time to exit.
Yeah, so something that I find interesting. I have a buddy of mine that he owns a bunch of budget blinds, and he's grown his entire seven territory portfolio all by buying resales and within the network and the system. So I'm just curious, like, how do you see franchisees selling and exiting to other franchisees within the system? And, I guess the benefit of getting access to kind of private deal flow that, wouldn't exist if you're not already a part of the franchise system.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest advantage, right? Our owners normally get the first heads up of these, businesses that's going to be open for sale, right? So, when you see an owner who's looking to build their business, that empire building phase, right? This is the first way to do it. They can start operating into a, acquisition state and acquiring and buying businesses that's already been built up, and they could just kind of fold it into their overall structure. So I see more and more owners doing that, right? And then from a franchise development perspective that we like is that we call it a new sale resale. So you have a lot of people who will purchase a business, but then they want to expand the territory a little more than where that existing business is. So it's basically buying it, and then they're going to buy another franchise next to it to expand their territory. So it counts as incremental growth for franchise development, and that's what I'm here for, incremental growth. So from a resale perspective, we're always trying to find that new sale, resale opportunity so that we still continue to grow versus just transferring ownership.
Yeah, so cool. I love resales in general. I just, the opportunity to step into a business that's up and running, or that you can kind of just hit the ground running. I think, it's helpful for a lot of people, right? Because so many people are trying to transition out of the corporate world. It takes some of the stress out of it. You were talking about how one of the things to increase the value of the business, or what you wind up selling it for, is how much you can take yourself out of that business. What are some of the other characteristics that you see maybe in some of the highest valued or higher selling resales, within, Neighborly or so on? Like, what else increases that value?
Their management structure, the size of their territory, right? That's one of the biggest things as well. Like if you have a business that, spans across, different counties and maybe even different states, right? Depending on where you are, that adds a lot of value to that resale. Having that management structure there also adds value. The marketing that they've invested over time to create a dominant market share, right? So this business may have 15, 20% market share in their territory. That's value, right? A buyer would want to, pay top dollar for a business that's dominating the market, right? So I think those are the top 3 or 4 things I feel that really drives overall value for a resale.
If you enjoyed this short clip from the podcast, you can check out another short clip right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, you can watch that here. And remember, knowledge is not power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.